I see this as a monarchy takedown. What Meghan is doing, similar thing. She's doing the same thing with Harry.
Let's leave Meghan for a moment.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. Leeches. Creatures that thankfully I've never had the misfortune to ever encounter. Creatures that can only survive by securely locking onto their target with the sole purpose of sucking as much blood as they can. They remind me of the sickening sycophants who always do the most to get as close as they can to the royal family, like this woman, Victoria Hervey, who has the title of Lady, but in my humble opinion is anything but. She is the woman who made the insensitive post following the passing of Virginia Giuffre last month, and this is her continuing to display her profound insensitivity during an LBC interview earlier this week.
Thank you very much for coming in. Can I start with Virginia Giuffre's death and the comments that you made about that? You said, when lies catch up with you, there's no way out. Do you think Virginia Giuffre killed herself?
Good question. Well, we have not seen a body yet. This is the weird thing, right? Normally you would see the body on a stretcher, like something, but we haven't seen anything yet. And the original, the release was NBC, which is also, I thought was kind of bizarre. That was the first person. Did she kill herself? I wrote that post because there had been like a lot of stuff obviously going on in that month before her death with that whole 4 days to live story, which as it got dissected, it wasn't a bad crash. No one was injured. What really was going on with Virginia Giuffre, right?
Her family put the statement out to say that she'd taken her own life. It doesn't seem that it's in her family's interests to lie about that or to make that up.
Who knows, really? Look, she definitely, things were catching up with her. The lies were catching up. She was sort of finally crumbling, and I feel like at that point she was no good to the lawyers anymore. The cash cow of Virginia Giuffre being able to sue so many people, that was gone.
You call them lies. I mean, one of the things that you claim is that the famous picture of Prince Andrew, Virginia Giuffre, Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's what I want to concentrate on.
Is one of those lies. You say that's a faked picture.
There's nothing real about that picture. Now, when that picture first appeared, actually, the papers that wrote about it, they got her height wrong. They said she was 5'7". She's actually 5'3" on Wikipedia. The fact is, which I don't know if I even mentioned that last week, but we have phone recordings of a conversation. I have hours of tape, which the FBI has, which I'm waiting for Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to release, of Virginia Giuffre in phone recordings saying nothing happened with Andrew.
To who?
To this guy, George and Maria Farmer.
Why don't you put that out there if you have it?
I just had George on the phone just now before coming in here. So, well, the FBI have got it. So we're basically giving them like another week or two to see if they're going to release it. And if they don't, we will release it.
Fine.
But he's just worried legally. Basically, his best friend, whose idea it was to record, died last summer.
Right.
Advar.
The problem is, part of your argument is this woman is very traumatized, has had a really tough life.
She basically was saved from Jeffrey Epstein, to be honest. Like, her life was so bad. I don't think he was the catalyst that made it worse. Like, he actually put her into rehab.
But you say you have tapes of Virginia Giuffre
phone recordings saying nothing happened to Andrew.
Right. Let's come back to this photo.
Yeah. And that is one of the reasons I've known about that for over 2 years. That is why I've been able to be so vocal.
I want to come back to that, but can I come just on the photo? Prince Andrew was obviously asked about this by Emily Maitlis, asked about that picture. He told Emily Maitlis, that is a picture of me. It is definitely me. Mm-hmm. You say it's not definitely him.
No, but he knows the story now. He knew it was a photo of a photo of a photo. So when he did that interview, I hadn't even started looking into this stuff. So he just, you look at that picture and you're like, looks like him, but it's basically not his body. So that is Jeffrey Epstein's body.
But it is his head. You say it's
with
a sort
his
of collage.
Head,
right.
But the head, I've got an example of how the collage was done. His head, but if you look at it, it's like it looks slightly, the scale is a little wrong.
Right.
Like that head looks you have to have a really trained eye to see this stuff.
Well, there's a forensic photography experts have looked at that photo and says it's not been doctored. It is a real picture.
Well, the ones I'm in touch with, I have a lot of forensic experts all say it is.
So why hasn't someone gone and found where the picture of his head was originally from? That was apparently cut and pasted. It was in a private
photo album. We've been looking. So the guy that basically says he's the one that cut the head out, it was from these private photo albums.
So where is that original picture that you say this came from, or his head came from?
Well, we've been trying to find it, but it was in a private photo album.
But that should be easy to find, not at least by him, wouldn't it? He would be very easily able to get that to
I've actually tried with some royal biographers that have been trying to find that particular head. The problem is you can't really find it because they've pixelated the eyes. So, like, if you actually try and find that image, you can't because the eyes have been changed. If you look at the eyes look weird.
You're saying it's a collage image done before really the advent of serious AI technology where this could have played a part. So relatively easily traceable.
The scale of that room is completely real. It's a real room.
I don't know if it was just me. Well, I believe it wasn't just me who found it extremely difficult to listen to this conversation because this woman sounds crazy. She's not making any sense whatsoever. And I will reiterate once again, she is a leech. She's a has-been. She's washed up as far as I'm concerned, and that's putting it mildly. Just to ingratiate herself with what I would consider to be the least of the royal family at this particular point in time. And as Tom Swarbrick alluded to, why has this woman not said anything before? If she's had this information for the last 2 to 3 years, why is it that she's only decided to open her mouth after Virginia's death? This is very bizarre. Guys, this was extremely difficult to listen to. It took all of my concentration and I just had to take it in small chunks.
Why are you so supportive of Prince Andrew as his ex-girlfriend? You must be the most supportive ex-girlfriend in history.
Right, and it's not really him. For me, it's like about the Queen being screwed over. It's about this country being screwed over.
But by
It's
whom?
about
By what?
whoever set him up, and
He chose to go himself to see Jeffrey Epstein and be
no,
friends
but
with
I'm
Jeffrey
saying
Epstein.
who set him up in that photo, who set him up with that picture in the park. This I see this as a monarchy takedown. What Meghan is doing, similar things. She's doing the same thing with Harry.
Let's leave
Yeah.
Meghan for a moment.
Yeah.
If you said this is an attempt to destroy the British monarchy, you think?
Yes, it
By
is.
whom?
Anyone. It could be a CIA thing. It's foreign government doing this.
But you have no evidence of this.
So,
or this is the paparazzi in New York, knowing a paedophile billionaire is hanging around with a member of the royal family, and inexplicably that member of the royal family goes to his house for 4 days with young girls hanging
Jeffrey
around.
Epstein had how many passports in his safe? He was found with 6 or 7 passports.
And the islands and the jets.
How do you think he's got all those passports?
I have no idea. I have no idea how he got his money. I mean, there's a great question to understand about how rich he was, but that's a question for Jeffrey Epstein.
Please could someone enlighten me as to why Meghan's name came out of this toxic leech's mouth during an interview which was supposed to be about her friend who has allegedly engaged in paedophilic activity? Please could someone enlighten me as to where this energy was for the Windsor wives preceding Meghan, who, it could be argued, did and said the most damaging things to bring down the monarchy. Like countless other leeches, no matter how close she thinks she is to the royal family, the only way Hervey can draw any attention to her meaningless diatribe is by merely mentioning Meghan's name. Thankfully, Tom Swarbrick shut her down because even he knew Meghan had no place in that interview. Listen to this final piece and decide if this creature is mentally unstable or actively abusing chemical substances.
For Maxwell, you clearly, I think it's fair to say, feel sorry for Andrew.
Yeah, because he lost his life. This has been going on for...
Well, he's a member of the royal family and able to stay in all the palaces that he wishes and travel around.
Yeah, but he's a military guy. I think probably one of the worst things for him is like losing the military titles. He's the only one of the family that actually fought in a war.
It's an unbelievably poor decision by a member of the royal family to hang around with a paedophile billionaire.
I know, and I'm just...
Did you ever say anything to him? Did you say, what the hell are you doing? Get away from this guy.
It's just... to me, I'm just so puzzled, but it's why didn't he have just better people around him?
You know something is seriously wrong when the statement is made that Andrew has lost his life by the same person who was almost happy to learn that one of Andrew's victims literally lost her life. We truly do live in a sick and twisted world. Just over a year ago, Harry was in London for the Invictus 10th anniversary Thanksgiving service at St Paul's Cathedral. As you know, none of Harry's paternal family attended because his dad was holding a garden party about 3 miles away in Buckingham Palace. Charles reportedly refused to make time to see his youngest son, but he had all the time in the world to meet with David Beckham later that same week. David Beckham is someone who I've never been interested in, but in recent years I've observed that he's another character desperate to be even closer to the royal family. So much so that it's been said that he's hoping to receive a seemingly elusive knighthood. It would appear that David has taken emulating Charles one step further because he has reportedly fallen out with his own son, Brooklyn. In the media's continued clumsy attempt to pit the Beckhams against the Sussexes, some outlets pushed the narrative this week that Harry and Meghan hosted a private dinner for Brooklyn and his wife Nicola as a way to agitate David and Victoria. I think we as Sussex supporters know that Harry and Meghan don't operate like this, which is why I'm more inclined to give credence to what was reported later. This article is from express.co.uk, published on the 16th of May 2025, and the headline reads, Royal Family Recap. Insiders give truth on Meghan and Harry's Brooklyn and Nicola summit. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have reportedly met Brooklyn Beckham and his wife, following rumoured reports of a feud within the Beckham family. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's summit with Brooklyn Beckham and his wife Nicola Peltz was not as intimate as it was first made out to be, an insider has revealed. On Thursday, it was claimed in The Sun that Harry, 40, and Meghan, 43, had invited Brooklyn, 26, and his wife to their Montecito home for a dinner with some fellow guests. While it was claimed they bonded over common ground, including the fact Brooklyn, like Harry, is reportedly experiencing a rift with the rest of the Beckham family, this is now believed to not be the case. As reported by Katie Hind in the Daily Mail, the dinner was reportedly not even held by Meghan and Harry, and instead was a much larger gathering hosted by Brian Robbins, 61, the CEO of television giant Paramount and Nickelodeon, and his wife Tracy, 49, who are the neighbours of the Duke and Duchess in Montecito. The insider said that there were more than 20 people at the party, with Brian reportedly having been the one to invite Brooklyn and Nicola. This is because Brian knew of Brooklyn as the son of David Beckham, who is starring in football chat show Beckham and Friends Live on Paramount Plus. A source told the Daily Mail that Brooklyn was invited to the dinner by Brian because he is David's son, with the CEO reportedly having no idea of the rift between them. An insider told the Daily Mail, David's production company sold the show to Paramount, and it is something that Brian would have been very hands-on with. Brooklyn lives in Los Angeles, just down the highway, so perhaps Brian thought it would be a nice thing to invite him and Nicola. While Harry and Meghan would have met Brooklyn and Nicola at the dinner, an insider said conversation between the two couples was actually limited. When we talk about leeches, let's not forget Homer Simpson and Homer Simpson Jr., aka Thomas Markle Sr. and his son, who have reportedly moved to the Philippines. It's interesting to see how mobile and agile Markle Sr. appears to be, when we've been repeatedly told that his health is failing and he's at death's door. Please bear with me as I reluctantly read this article from themirror.co.uk, published on the 10th of May 2025, and the headline reads, Meghan Markle's dad Thomas struggling in £500 a month Philippines flat. Thomas Markle Sr., 80, has moved to the island of Cebu, known for its brutal weather, which is more than 7,000 miles away from his estranged daughter Meghan and his grandchildren. The Duchess of Sussex's estranged father is living in a £500 a month high-rise flat in the Philippines, where he is being cared for by her half-brother. Really? Thomas Markle Sr. has moved to the densely populated island of Cebu, more than 7,000 miles away from Meghan, 43, Prince Harry, 40, and his grandkids Archie and Lilibet. Our exclusive pictures show the former Hollywood lighting director sitting alone while resting in blistering heat outside a supermarket near his new home on Wednesday. That was the day after Archie's 6th birthday, which he missed. Thomas has had 2 heart attacks and a stroke in recent years and now must deal with the tropical island's punishing heat. Temperatures this week reached 33 degrees Celsius and humidity levels almost 90%. The regional Emmy Award winner has been seen using a walking stick to help him get around the area's uneven roads and paths, many of which are affected by constant traffic and the unforgiving climate. Aw, diddums. Does it look like he's walking with a stick here? A source said there are only two types of weather in Cebu, hot and humid, and hot and humid and raining. It's brutal even for men half his age, but it's still sad to see him looking as though he's struggling. I don't have my violin right now. The source went on, Thomas and his son only recently moved into the property, and they are still finding their feet in Cebu after the big move abroad, but they're here together and are firmly supporting each other. Okay. It is understood Thomas Sr. and Meghan's older half-brother Thomas Jr., 58, who was yesterday seen leaving the flat hand in hand with a young woman, had previously been staying in a 3-star hotel on Cebu. Before moving into the flat, Thomas Sr. had spent the past decade living in a beachside bungalow in Rosarito, Mexico, which is only 250 miles from the Sussex's home in Montecito, California. They moved out after boxes of Thomas's belongings, understood to include some of his most prized possessions, including albums of family photos featuring Meghan, arrived on the island. Despite its humble location, yards from a busy 7-lane main road, the apartment block is considered grand by many folk in the Philippines, where the average wage is just over £7,000 a year. Cebu has a population of more than 3 million, and some 900,000 residents exist below the poverty line, according to the latest figures. Life here is a world away from the luxury Thomas's daughter and son-in-law Harry enjoy at their multi-million-pound Californian mansion. Yeah, they have a right to live in a multi-million-pound mansion if they want to. They worked hard to do that, so why is this article trying to throw shade? Meghan posted a photo of Archie alongside a message wishing her sweet boy a happy 6th birthday on Tuesday. Speaking in January, when he revealed he was considering relocating to Southeast Asia, he said, "I travelled in that part of the world when I was a younger man. The people are so kind and welcoming, and they are respectful to older people." Shade, shade, shade. It is a place of culture and beauty. In Southeast Asia, the medical care is good. You can live reasonably cheaply. The people are kind and respect older people, and the food is healthy. Mostly, I just want peace. At 80, none of us know how long we have left. I want whatever time I have to be peaceful, with none of the awful drama of recent years. Thomas Sr. added, "I'm not running away. I am going in search of a more positive life. Every day I see something about Meghan. I wish her no ill will. My dream is that one day I could bring my whole family together like a normal family." Oh, so much to unpack here. Let me start with this last paragraph. If you want to bring your whole family together, does that include your other grandkids who you literally have no relationship with? That's my first question. Another question I have is, you want to enjoy a quieter, friendly existence. Do you not understand that you flapping your gums at every given opportunity about your youngest daughter has contributed to you not having a quieter and friendlier existence where you were previously? And don't make me laugh about the food being healthy, because you know your stomach is going to remain as big as it can. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. You are not a healthy food kind of guy. And, you know, not to say you can't be with a young girl, but why are you with a young girl? Just out of interest. What's that? That looks a bit suspect. So you want a quieter life? You think this young girl is going to give you a quieter life? And why are you in such brutal weather? If you're so unhealthy and why are you struggling? Why did you move to a country where you know that the weather is not conducive to your health at your age? I mean, none of this is making sense. The math is not mathing, guys. Utter rubbish. Utter trash. Ridiculous. Ugh, they get on my nerves. So the next time he gets in front of a camera via the British media expecting your sympathy, remember that the life he appears to be living now has only been possible because he and his son are paid handsomely every time Meghan's name exits their toxic, disgusting mouths. May Harry and Meghan never give their children the opportunity to be contaminated by these obnoxious relatives, Samantha Grant included. Conversely, I'm happy to see that more people are seeing the British royal family for the leeches they are and not afraid to call it out.
Simplest terms, this is obscene, right? If you break this down, if I have a sprawling property portfolio and I can't afford the repairs on one of them, then I have to sell that off. I don't then get other people to fund it for me. Add to that, King Charles is reportedly worth 1.8 billion from the money that his estate rakes in from inherited land, from the seabed, from the air, from profiting from charities, from our public services. Pay for it yourself. And also,
but he sort of is because the Crown Estate generates money.
Come on, Jeremy. The seabed, this massive boom in offshore wind, he just pockets. How can we justify this? Jeremy, how can we justify this in a period where we have got people, Labour, taking PIP money away from disabled people, 1.4 million children living in poverty? It's obscene. And also, there's no reputation there either.
In terms of, if you're Charles and you're in Buckingham Palace, I don't think he probably considers that to be his home.
But it is one of them.
It's a place he lives which we all own, and when it starts falling down, we all have to repair it. Now, you're right, we can decide to level it and put some tennis courts there or something.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying do what they do with the palaces of Versailles, where it's actually much more accessible when you don't have a family living there that will pay for.
Point. Charlie, how about that? As we try and find some common ground here, you could say to the king, look, you don't really need the palace, frankly, because there's just you and Camilla, and they've got, no exaggeration, 775 rooms. So we'll take it over and open it as a museum, and you can move to St James's Palace, Windsor Palace.
Well, then when does it stop? You'll be moving them out until they're, my next door neighbour maybe. But, with the greatest respect,
Why can't he use his money? He doesn't even pay inheritance tax like the rest of us. Why can't he just use his money, his public service to the public can be, I'll sort these repairs out myself, everyone.
Well, because the public service that he does and duties are a lot more than what we do.
Well, and trousering cash from people that you shouldn't.
But the whole royal family, as Jeremy said, brings in more money than what is being spent anyway. It is not. It's absolutely true.
Our economy is worth 140 billion. The royal-related travel is a fraction of that, and as we've just spoken about, places where they do not have a royal family, they just have royal buildings, actually generate more.
Which over time are completely devalued because nobody said that. And by the way, you can, of course it is, because they're not living there, but you can go to Buckingham Palace, you can pay to go in, you can visit it, you can look around, it opens up in the summer, so people do go in to pay to visit the palace. I know, because I've done it.
Explain, Charlie, why he can't use his however many millions, billions, why can't he use that himself?
Queen did a lot for Windsor Castle. I think but you see, the thing is, I don't think you accept that any of that money is Charles's anyway. So I think saying why can't he use his own money, I think your argument really is that he's only rich by virtue of his birth, and that's basically all public money, his 2 billion that he's got. So when we say the Queen paid through her own money for Windsor Castle after the fire, actually you probably say, well, it's not really her money. I mean, that's the thrust of it, isn't it? You don't think they really own anything.
I question a lot of it. But fine, let's just say they have what they have, right? Which I don't think is fair either. Why should this man own our seabed? Right, the air. We learned from that Channel 4 Dispatches documentary.
Yes.
They charged the taxpayer for air, for 1 cubic unit of air. It is obscene.
And while all of this is going on, Harry and Meghan have angered the usual crowd by simply attending concerts, enjoying themselves immensely, and loving each other deeply. The additional cherries on top being, firstly, that the dress that Meghan wore to the Beyonce concert has unsurprisingly sold out, and she has expanded her as ever range by adding another special blend tea. I love to see it, and long may it continue. Let me confess, I'm actually in the middle of watching the latest Mission Impossible. It's due to come out next week in the UK, but I'm watching it on Netflix, so I won't take up too much of your time. Money. It's always about money with the royal family, isn't it? Marina Perkis had some very good points with regard to the repairs for Buckingham Palace and all other royal residences, to be quite honest. Some of you may know, if you've been with me long enough, that I have a friend who works for the royal family and is part of the project to repair Buckingham Palace. It's a long time. I can't remember when they're projected to finish, but it's been going on for years. I am not naive enough to think that, these repairs shouldn't be paid for. And if it belongs to us, why can't we have access when we want? Is that being unreasonable? What I object to is us funding it through our taxes. We literally have no choice in the matter. And then on top of that, you open it up in the summer months and we pay for entry, those of us who are so inclined to visit. In my mind, if you have enough support, if the royal family have the support that they have, because many people don't want the monarchy to go, those people should have no objection to pay all year round for access to that building. And for the parts that are being repaired and are lived in by members of the royal family, lock those areas off so that they are inaccessible and allow access, paid access, to other parts of the building all year round, not just during the summer months. Would that not go some way to speeding up the repairs? And we wouldn't feel, some of us wouldn't feel so resentful that the bill is being forced on us. I don't have any objection to these things being paid for, but when I'm not given a choice, that's when I become frustrated with the system. We weren't asked, it's just assumed. Remember, these guys don't pay inheritance tax like the rest of us would have to. They are exempt from inheritance tax, and it's adding insult to injury that we're now not now, we've always been expected to pay for the upkeep of these royal residences. I remember when Windsor Castle had a fire and the Queen didn't want to pay. The country was in uproar. We're not paying for that. You pay for that. And ultimately, she had to pay for that. Now, the source of that income, I don't know where that came from. But on the face of it, she paid for it. I suspect we still ended up paying for it anyway. But if enough people speak, things can change. But in this country, people are too reserved because they don't want to upset the apple cart. And the other element of that is the royal family, as I've said in a video years ago, is the last bastion of the British Empire. Majority of people in this country do not want to let go of the concept of the British Empire, even though it no longer exists. That's why they won't change the honour system, which is suffixed by British Empire. All of these awards: Order of the British Empire, Member of the British Empire, Commander of the British Empire. There's no empire. It's under the guise of Commonwealth. So change the honour system to say Order of the Commonwealth, Commander of the Commonwealth, Member of the Commonwealth. They're not going to do that because they need to hang on to this long forgotten existence when Britannia ruled the waves. They don't want to let go of that. You could see a family go hungry, and that same family will support the royal family to the day they die. They won't be able to pay their bills, but they'd happily pay tax involuntarily to keep the monarchy alive. Okay, makes no sense to me. I want to talk about Meghan's name, and this is what I find really funny, guys. Some of you may know, if you watched last week's video, I was at my cousin's wedding. So we got to the hotel and it was Saturday evening. Now Channel 5, I watched Channel 5 quite a bit, but not on a Saturday evening, because that's when they run their whole programme of pro-royal and anti-Meghan, anti-Harry programmes, their schedule. They had this programme on about Sarah, Duchess of York, and the title, if from memory, it was Duchess in Debt, Where Has All the Money Gone? So this talked about her mismanagement of money. She can't manage money. For all the millions that she's lost, she's earned millions through her commercial ventures. I have no objection to that. If you're a divorced woman, you need to be able to find ways to support yourself financially. I have absolutely no problem with that. What I have an issue with, guys, is when Meghan breathes, they say take away her titles. Meghan doesn't need her title, we know this. But have that exact same energy for Sarah, the Duchess of York, who has long been divorced from Andrew. It doesn't matter that they live under the same roof. Legally, they are no longer married. She still uses her title to this day. Back in the 90s, I believe it was, she was using her title left, right and centre. And this programme I was watching talked about the ad campaign she did for Ocean Spray. I think it was for their cranberry juice. And she was promoting it, boldly using her title, Duchess of York. No one said anything. When she was an ambassador for Weight Watchers, boldly using her title, Duchess of York. No one said anything. To this day, as a successful author, initially of children's books, and I can't remember the other genre that she now writes in, but she uses her title, Duchess of York. No one says anything. You think because the Queen left her corgis with her to look after she passed away, that should give any credence to her being able to use her position commercially? If Meghan can't do it, Sarah shouldn't be able to do it. But again, we all know the reason why. It's one rule for Meghan and another rule for every other Windsor wife. We know that. I don't need to spell it out for you. Okay, but this is what I object to. Meghan has been a businesswoman from before she met Harry. She doesn't need the title to be successful, but equity should be the theme running through this whole drama. If you're baying for Meghan's blood, if you're baying to take away Meghan's title, do the same for Sarah, because Sarah should not really be doing that. As far as you guys are concerned, Meghan should not be using her title for commercial purposes. Sarah does it all the time. That's how she makes her money. That's how she survives. How is that fair? And you keep talking about Meghan using her title to make money, but you guys are using Meghan's name to make money. This is what makes me laugh. Do you see how twisted all of this is? Meghan is not allowed to use her title for any purpose, as far as these media types are concerned, but the media will use Meghan's name. They will savage Meghan's name to pay their mortgages, to pay their children's school fees, to put food on their table. And they have no issue with that. And this is why I said we live in a truly, honestly sick and twisted world. And it's time that more people spoke out about this, because it literally makes zero sense. It's not logical, guys. It is totally illogical. Anyway, I think I've said enough. So if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.